Have you noticed that almost all large ships, whether they're cargo ships, cruise ships, or even classic ocean liners, have their lower section painted red? Yes, that reddish strip that stretches from what's known as the waterline all the way down to the bottom of the hull. The question is, why does it have to be red? Well, today we're going to uncover the story behind that choice of color. When we think of the ocean, we usually imagine water, wind, and waves. But for ships, the sea is a constant battlefield. Salt water corrodes any metal. Wooden hulls are attacked by a microscopic enemy known as the shipworm, a mollusk that burrows into the wood until it becomes hollow. And as if that weren't enough, all kinds of organisms try to turn the hull into their home: algae, barnacles, mussels, and bacteria. If you've ever looked at the base of a pier or the bottom of an abandoned boat, you know exactly what I mean. A thick carpet of marine life growing without permission. This growth, which sailors call fouling, isn't just unpleasant to look at. It completely changes a ship's performance. A layer of barnacles no thicker than a coin can increase water resistance by up to 40%. That means slower ships, harder to maneuver, and with much higher fuel consumption. And as if that weren't enough, for centuries, ships faced an even deadlier enemy, the shipworm, scientifically known as Teredo navalis. This mollusk bores through wood as if it were butter, leaving hulls riddled with invisible tunnels that sailors of the past couldn't detect. Discovering that your vessel was being eaten from the inside was a silent death sentence. Ancient shipbuilders already knew this enemy well. The Greeks, for example, coated the submerged part of their triremes with lead. It worked for a while, but when iron nails or bolts were used to secure it, a new problem appeared: galvanic corrosion. Accelerated wear caused by contact between different metals in salt water. Later, in the 17th and 18th centuries, an idea emerged that would change everything: covering the hull with copper plates. Copper wasn't just durable, it had a side effect that sailors celebrated as a miracle. Marine organisms seemed to hate its surface. Algae and barnacles didn't cling as strongly, and shipworms could no longer devour the wood so easily. Without intending to, copper became the first anti-fouling material in history, so effective that large merchant sailing ships used it as a protective shield. Over time, those copper plates oxidized and took on a golden or greenish hue, similar to the Statue of Liberty. That's why in many old paintings, ships appear with hulls painted in strange colors. It wasn't paint, it was aged copper. When the Industrial Revolution brought ships built from iron and steel, shipworms stopped being a problem. No mollusk could bore through those materials. But the sea, as always, found another way to attack: the corrosion. Iron and steel, in constant contact with salt water, began to rust at an alarming speed within just a few weeks. An unprotected hull can show orange stains in a matter of weeks. In just a few months, corrosion weakens the structure itself. A new method of defense was needed. And this is where chemistry comes into play. In 1865, a German chemist named Heinrich Rahn developed a paint formula that seemed to come straight out of an alchemist's laboratory. It contained resins, thick oils, alcohol, mercury, arsenic, and as a key ingredient, a pigment known as Venetian red, a type of iron oxide that had been used since ancient times in art and military dyes. The result was a paint as hard as rock, toxic to marine organisms, and above all, a very distinctive dark red color. For the first time, ships could sail for months without needing to be constantly cleaned. The use of Venetian red spread rapidly. It wasn't the only option, but it was the most economical and practical. Soon, the image of a ship with a black hull above the waterline and red below became a common sight in ports around the world. There have also been experiments with silicone-based paints that cause organisms to slip off, as if they were trying to climb wet glass. Researchers have even tested coatings that release a kind of gelatin-like substance when something tries to attach itself. The problem is that although these solutions are less polluting, they tend to be far more expensive. And in the world of shipping, where every ton of fuel matters, most vessels still rely on formulas based on copper oxides, which naturally result in a reddish color. As always, while red dominates, it isn't the only option. Some modern cruise ships prefer blue stripes to convey a cleaner, more tourist-friendly image. Research vessels often use green, and military ships favor dark gray or black for better camouflage. However, in most cases, what we're seeing is just makeup. Interestingly, that deep red color that looks so uniform from a distance isn't always so appealing up close. It's usually rough, with thick layers and visible patch marks where repairs have been made. But there's collateral damage. Antifouling paint releases biocides into the sea. Over the years, some compounds have been banned due to their toxicity, such as the infamous tributyltin, or TBT, which caused severe damage to marine life. Today, regulations are much stricter. In many ports, scraping or cleaning hulls in the water is prohibited to prevent toxic particles from being released directly into the sea. There is also another risk: the transport of invasive species. If a ship picks up algae in Asia and arrives in Europe without cleaning its hull, it could introduce organisms that don't exist in that region. This phenomenon has already caused serious ecological problems in several parts of the world. So now you know. The lower part of ships is red because in the past, copper-based mixtures had that color and they prevented the hull from being destroyed. Over time, it became tradition, it became the standard, and today red represents history, technology, and survival at sea. And tell me, did you already know this? Or did you also think it was just decoration? Be honest, did you just find out now? Let me know in the comments. I want to see how many of you already knew this detail. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the Giants of the Ocean channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Every week, a new mystery of the sea awaits you.